Good morning, students. I am teaching Scilab to perform experiments. First experiment, convolution of two sequences. So we have conducted 3-4 experiment in the lab itself after COVID-19. Um, this is our first experiment. So convolution basically involves two sequences. This is a manual that I opened for you. You can see this. So this is a MATLAB program. Here a Y1 sequence is there and Y2 sequence. They are given as operator parameter to CONV in MATLAB. So we don't have CONV here in Scilab. We have CONVOL, convolve. So also you can take a look at this another important you can consider that we already have gone through a class what is convolution. So you can find the response of a system, right, for a particular input. So convolution basically does 4 5 operations: folding, multiplication, addition, shifting. So all this are digital in nature: input signal, then impulse response, convolution output, number of input samples, number of impulse coefficients. So we shall now try simulation in Scilab. So this is a program where n1 is 100, n2 is 20. Now for 1 to n1, 1 to n2, we are generating cos wave and giving it for convolution, and output is y, and output y we are plotting. So let us simulate this and see. So this is the convolution output, and this is one input sequence, and this is another input sequence. So together convolving we get this output. It's very simple to simulate. So I have another execution that is will be shown here for convolution. So here we have discrete type, that is y1 is defined between 0 and n2 2, and 2 to 3, 2 to 8. Then we have y2 that is defined by 0 and 4 and 4 and 8. So we are convolving y1 and y2. Let us simulate and see. So here it is defined for 0 to 2 and 0 to 4. This is your convolved output. So you have 4 plus 2, that is 6 samples here, and you can also take the input from the user. So there is another program I am showing here. So here we are asking user to enter some input, then plot the inputs, then convolve by passing them to user. Let us execute. So it is asking for input. So these are the plots. This is output sequence, input, and another input sequence 2. So you can also try the same thing here on the command line, like So this is the output we are getting. We can plot the same if you want. So now let us proceed to the next program, that is correlation. This is your experiment number 5. So here basically we are having uh, cos signal. So autocorrelation is defined as basically the convolution of the signal with itself. So there's a cos signal. The function is xcor. It's available in the Scilab. So rest all you know the commands to plot. Let us simulate and see. So this is your input. When you convolve it with itself, so you're getting the output sequence. So another program I will be showing for correlation, that is cross correlation. So here the user is asked to enter some input, for example 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, okay, then pass it to xcor, then see the execution. So let us run and see. Okay, input sequences, then output. So cross correlation is basically convolution of two different sequences. Okay, so we have another example, that is we can see here. So we have cos signal and a sine signal. So we pass it to xcor function, then we execute and see what happens. So cos and then sine, then the resultant, right? So this is again cross correlation example. Okay, so that completes talk on the experiment number 5. Now let us go to experiment number 6, that is Fourier series and Gibbs phenomena. So Fourier series and Gibbs phenomena. So before I go to Fourier series and Gibbs phenomena, I want to show you people the manual of ours. There is a problem. So this is a autocorrelation from your manual, right? So there's no talk of autocorrelation or cross correlation as such here. Yeah, x core x, that is only autocorrelation. There's no talk of cross correlation. Yeah, I think it is there here. Okay, fine. So next is the Fourier series and Gibbs phenomena. So in this program, I don't understand what is given here. Basically, there are some you know plotting and other things. This may be Gibbs phenomena using MATLAB, but there is no mention of Fourier series. So now Fourier series is basically, it requires a little bit background. The background I have taken it from IIT Madras website. You can see this. So basically here this function is taken, f of t is equal to 1 upon 1 plus t square e to the power of minus t square, and the plot of this function looks like this, and it is made a periodic function. Okay, so then Fourier series will do the job. That is, this is a Fourier series equation with omega is equal to 2 pi by 6. Since the function is even and real, Fourier series is also even and real. So it collapses to a cosine function. So bn will be 0. So we have to find a naught and an. So to find a naught, we are using this formula, and for an using this formula, and this is a program. Here it is having three parts. This is a declaration of global variable, and global variable must be locally also be defined. Okay, so there's a function g of t and then gn of t. So basically they are going to do partial job. Here exponential is computed, and here we are computing the cos omega and all that part. So here omega is computed. This is a main function. The main function starts from here to here till here. So basically here what we do, zeros. We have initialized the array A filled with zeros from up to 21 positions, increment of 1. So this is your INTG, integration function in Scilab. 0 to 3, G is your function. For n is equal to 1 to 20, INTG 0 to 3 divided by 1.5. Here 3 and here 1.5, because here we have, when you say 2 divided by 6, it becomes 1 by 3. Here 2 divided by 3 becomes 1 by 1.5. So with this background, let us go and simulate. So you know this is a bar chart. So if you run the above code, you will find a function called a sometimes 4 times per coefficient. Practical, we often take Fourier transform very large data set. We need a faster method. This method is called discrete Fourier transform. So you will learn mathematics in ADSP, that is there. So let us not worry about DFT now. So Fourier series coefficients are plotted here, and we'll go on to Scilab and then plot the same. So here this is a function, global variable, then function g of t, gn of t, then we have computed omega, ignt, intg called in a loop, and we are plotting. Let us run the program. So these are the coefficients we have plotted. You can see the command window console. So it is run 3990 times the function was called. So that's about Fourier series. Now let us understand the Gibbs phenomena. So Gibbs phenomena basically explains the reason for discontinuities in passband and stop band due to transformation, differentiation. So there is a special kind of functions to plot this. It is listed in this, and we can run this and see. So we have plotted the Gibbs phenomena, which is showing discontinuities at the joint. So that is about your experiment number 6. Now let us go to experiment number 7. So this is your experiment number 7, that is computation of Fourier transform. So to compute the Fourier transform, we have to give the frequency f and number of sampling frequency and sampling period, DFT sequence number, all that, and we have to create a graphic handle using GCA function, grid if you want, then the dimension data bounds, then FFT is the function to plot the Fourier transform. Okay, rest all, this is your ABS. ABS stands for absolute or magnitude plot. In Scilab, we use magnitude plot by ABS function. And we also have ATAN. ATAN is a function to plot phase response. So phase is basically minus tan inverse y by x, right? So same way here we are having imaginary by real. So let us simulate this program. So cosine wave that is given as input, and output what you're getting is this one, magnitude plot and phase plot. So I hope people have understood. Now let us try to proceed to next part of this experiment, that is experiment number 7b. 7b is this one. So there is a function provided by Scilab as CZT, that is chirp Z transform. This is also one algorithm for taking Z transform. For this you need several parameters and they are explained here. And we are plotting this for function, find the Z transform of this time domain function 0.5 to the power of n multiplied by u of n. Okay, so this is again deleting some windows, graphic handle and all, and un is your step signal, n is input data sequence, m is m points in z plane, v is magnitude multiplier, phi is phase increment, a is initial magnitude, theta initial phase. So these are the various values we have taken for the given function here. So let us simulate. So if you simulate this, the output will be on console window, that is it has computed the Z transform as this value. So that is about your experiment number 7. Now let us proceed towards experiment 8, that is step response and step response and impulse response. So impulse response, you can see here this is a function that is taken and it is having a numerator as 1 and denominator as 1, 1 and 0.9. These are the values you can input to verify the output. Later you can change the any coefficients of numericals from the textbook and verify. So here basically what we are doing, we are putting zeros from 1 to 9, and 0 is basically the data, that is impulse response is existing only at 0 and rest are all 0. So filter data and you can see the execution. This is your experiment number 8. So this is your impulse response. So now let us try understand what do you mean by step response. So step response is computed for this function 5s plus 10 divided by s square plus 4s plus 5. those are defining the transfer function basically using syslin, you already know. Then sysim basically gives you time response for a step input, right? Step or input, ramp or anything you can mention here. Accordingly, it's going to evaluate the transfer function. So let us evaluate this. So this is your step response. So that completes the talk on experiment number 8. So let us now proceed towards experiment number 10. In the university list, Bode plot is there. Bode plot without uh, in the theory can't be performed in practicals. So next semester in your control systems subject you will be learning Bode plot. You can try that after that. So let us go to 10th experiment. 10th experiment is your frequency response of a system. Frequency response we already have considered. So the same way we are asking the user to enter some coefficients for xn and yn, and some mathematical operations are done for plot over interval of 4 pi to observe periodicity, then exponential numerator and denominator, magnitude is computed using ABS, and phase is computed using ATAN. Then you can see simulation of this. So we have to go to console. So I think this is not the input. Let us see the input once again. Okay, 1 minus 1, 1 minus 0.5. So this looks better. So that's how we compute the frequency response and magnitude response. So today I have taken experiments from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 10. So total 6 experiments, and earlier we had performed around 3 experiment. It's 9 experiment. Uh, Thank you all. If you have any doubts, you can WhatsApp me. Thank you.